Kids and Queers. So I have my candle alighting and we're ready for the finally fall book tag. I mean, I live in Belize, so we don't technically have fall. We only have two seasons, the wet and the dry season. But I think that it gets a bit cooler here in October. Like right now, it's very windy, it's very cool and nice, and I love all fall things. So Halloween and scary movies and darkness and all that. So I thought that I would still partake in the Family Fall book tag. So we're just gonna hop on into it with the first question, which is, in fall, the air is crisp and clear. Name a book with a vivid setting. So for this first prompt, I am going to choose The Shadow of the Wind. This can be a standalone book, one of my favorite standalone books, by the way, but it can also be classified as a series. I think this has a whole series, and none of the books are related in terms of the plot, I believe, but it all takes place in the same setting, and I think it follows the same characters, but they're not continuations in terms of being like you said, a continuation of the plot. It maybe, I think, goes into something like character studies. It shows the lives of different characters out of sequence. And this takes place in the Gothic Quarter in Spain. I think it's in the 60s, I'm not sure, in the 40s and 50s. And it is one of the most beautiful books that I've read in a very, very, very long time. It actually got its way into my favorite books of all time. I read this in quarantine earlier this year, and I feel like I was just transported to the most beautiful place that I've ever read about. And it's also one of those books about books, so it follows this young boy, and his father owns a bookstore, and it's also maybe a coming-of-age story, because he has been through a few tragedies, and his father thinks that he's ready to basically get on board with the family secret, which is I don't think it's a spoiler to say that it's a bookstore that's been in their family for generations. And after he goes there, he goes through a rite of passage, and then because of this rite of passage that he goes through, adventure ensues, and we meet all of these fantastical characters, and we're just taken through all the passageways of Gothic Spain, and it is just such a great book, such a great setting, and such great characters. I think the ending was all that kind of, I won't say disappointed me, it just didn't live up to what I wanted the ending to be. But overall, I think I give this book a 4.8, which is to show you that the ending barely swayed me from giving it a 5-star rating. It's just a really, really great book. And now we're going to move on to the second question. The second question is, nature is beautiful, but also dying. Name a book that is beautifully written, but also deals with a heavy topic like loss or grief. I have the perfect answer for this, and that is right now. White Oleander by Jeanette Fitch. This is my favorite book of all time, and hopefully when I continue to make more book videos, you're going to be hearing about this book even more. This has been my favorite book since I was maybe 14 years old. My best friend's sister, and my best friend got this for me. Well, technically they had a bunch of books and they asked me to pick one, and I chose this one because I love the cover. And I read it in one sitting, and ever since then this has been the book that got me into literary fiction and all that descriptive, beautiful, lyrical writing. And this book is so beautifully written. Sometimes I even just read over the first page just to remind myself how beautiful this book is, how it really transports you to LA during, I think it's the 90s or the 80s, but so well done. It's such a beautifully written book for the things that it contains, because it's about this poet, this extremely pretentious, beautiful poet who has a daughter, and her daughter feels like she's a burden to the mother, and the mother is such one of those she's kind of a snob. She thinks she is the best thing in the world since sliced bread, and she completely owns that, and she kind of teaches her daughter to be like her, this greater than the world, otherworldly being. She looks down on basically everyone, but even as you're reading this, you kind of side with her, or maybe I did, and maybe just that's the problem I have to deal with, where she seems like such a greater than life character, and everything she says is so beautiful, and although it's very it's coming from a place of narcissism, you can't help but feeling Ingrid is so beautiful, she's so intelligent, she's so amazing. You wish that she would have some humility, but no one can be perfect. And eventually the mother gets in a bind, and the daughter has to end up in the foster care system. And the rest of the book basically just documents her time in the foster care system and all the hard things that were done to her, or that she witnessed while being in the foster care system. And then you kind of, or maybe let me know if you read the book, maybe we can discuss what you got from it, but I think you kind of see it as not the mom's fault, but the mom doesn't have any guilt from what she's done. She still stands strongly in her beliefs, and she thinks that her daughter is weak because her daughter wants love and attention, and just to be accepted by someone the way her mom didn't accept her. And she actually watches her mom as if she's some kind of god or greater being, and then by the end she gets a bit humbled and realizes that her mom is actually pretty screwed up. And I hope I did give any spoilers, but it's such a great book. It deals with what was it? Tragedy? Oh, loss or grief. It deals with, I think, tragedy and loss and grief, not in the way I think you'd expect it to be in terms of someone dying, but it does deal with those themes in different ways, and like the prompt says, it is so beautifully written. So the other prompt is, fall is back to school season. Share a non-fiction book that taught you something new. Let me think. Non-fiction. Non-fiction. Well, I think I would choose Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil. I don't have the book with me right now. I took it back to the library. I will insert a picture of it somewhere here. And that was a beautifully written nonfiction book, and it taught me so much about Georgia. It wasn't Georgia. It was set in Georgia. For some reason, I'm not remembering the city that it took place in, but the book showed me so much about that city and about this murder that happened, because I actually started reading the book because the cover was beautiful, and I heard that it was true crime. So I think it taught me so much about that murder that takes place in the book, so much about antiquing and the antique world and the gothic South. It didn't really teach me anything more wild, but that fits the prompt, so we're going to use that. Next question is, in order to keep warm, it's good to spend some time with the people we love. Name a fictional family, household, friend group that you'd like to be a part of. And I think for that, there is no better book than The Six of Crows. I hope that's behind me. Is it? Where is it? Oh, here it is. the Six of Crows duology, I think that this is probably going to be a lot of people's answer because, I mean, who doesn't want to be a part of the gang in this group? The group follows a group of teenagers, young adults, who are of different backgrounds, and some of them have powers, and they are going to perform a out-of-the-world heist. And it takes place in the Grisha universe, which is from also the Grisha trilogy, but this takes place in, what's the name of their country? Kerch, which is like this shipping country, the shipping place. So it's basically an island, and there are a lot of merchants and a lot of poor people, and it kind of touches on the distribution of wealth and how it isn't equally distributed, and how some people suffer while other people are just there fending themselves. And I love this book, and I love the gang, and I wish I could be Inej Gaffa. That is the dream. I'm not there yet. I hopefully will be there someday. Inej is everything, Kaz is everything. I would like to be either of them or a combination of the two. Nina is also a sweetheart, and I'd like to date her if she was real. Jesper is my imaginary best friend, and I love every character in this, and I love the story, and I love the writing, and I love the world, and this is everything to me. It's one of my favorite books, and I think that's all I have to say about The Six of Crows. Next prompt. The colorful leaves are piling up on the ground. Show us a pile of fall-colored spines. Fall-colored spines. I think this is fall-colored. Wood? No, this is more winter. Fall-colored spines. I think Scythe can be fall-colored. It's got red. Another one. I think this Savage Song can be counted as fall-colored. Can it? Sorry, I'm doing this so that I can have a thumbnail at my bookstall. Fall-colored. Ooh. Does The Little Friend by Donna Tartt, does it pass for fall-colored? Does it? Here are my fall-colored signs. I think there is one more. No. The other prompt is, fall is the perfect time for some storytelling by the fireside. Share a book wherein somebody is telling a story. I would definitely choose Looking for Alaska. Does it count? Pudge is telling the story. I think that's his name in the book. It's Pudge. And he's telling the story of his life, and then when he meets Alaska, and everything that happens after that great introduction that they have. I think this counts. This is a very used copy that I've had since I was in high school. I am now 22 years old, so that's quite a while ago. This was the first John Green book that I loved, and I think the only John Green book that I've ever loved. I know it gets a lot of hate, but I think without this book I wouldn't be able to be the pretentious queen that I am now. And Alaska made me feel very seen for some reason when I was like 15, which I don't get now, but at the time she was godsent, and I don't feel any embarrassment for loving this book, or for once loving this book, because I haven't read it. I don't know if it will stand the test of time. I doubt it, so I just avoid reading it again. Here it is. I could also use this for the fall-colored spine book cube, but I have one, so we move along. I'm not going to explain what it's about, because I think everyone on BookTube and their mothers knows what Looking for Alaska is about, or knows about John Green, so we digress. Next prompt. The nights are getting darker. Share a dark, creepy read. A dark, creepy read. I don't read a lot of horror, but I do read thrillers, and I think a creepy read for me would be The Silent Patient. Was it creepy? Scratch that answer. I'm gonna choose The Turn of the Key. The Turn of the Key? The Turn of the Key? Yeah, The Turn of the Key. That book was a gothic read, and it was based loosely, ever so loosely, on The Turn of the Screw, which is actually being made into a Netflix show, which is going to be the sequel to The Haunting of Hill House. Are you ready? I am so ready. But anyway, moving on back to that. The Turn of the Key was about this babysitter, housekeeper, this nanny, who was taking care of these kids at this manor in England, and their murder happens, and they're kind of figuring out who it was, and it's very creepily narrated, which was beautiful. I didn't really like the ending. I think I gave the book 4 stars, but it was creepy. The atmosphere was very gothic, which is everything that I wanted, so it kind of delivered on that. The ending didn't deliver, but everything else delivered, more or less. So yeah, that's my answer. I don't have the book here because I listened to it on audiobook on Libby, but I should include the picture somewhere here. Next prompt. The days are getting colder. Name a short, heartwarming read that could warm up somebody's cold and rainy day. Sweet, heartwarming read. Sweet, heartwarming read. Would sight count? No, I'm gonna be very basic right now and choose Harry Potter. Where is that? Here it is. This is a very loved copy, as you can tell. I am gonna choose the Harry Potter book, just the first one, just the third one? The third one? The third one. The Prisoner of Azkaban. That's my favorite book of the series, that's why it's the only one on my bookshelf. The others are over there, propping up my TV. The Prisoner of Azkaban, I think, is the most gothic kind of Harry Potter book, or maybe I am just loving it because it's the one that involves the most animals to me, and I love animals, which if you stay on subscribing to this channel, then you are going to figure that out. I'm a biology major, I love animals, I love plants so much, and The Prisoner of Azkaban is definitely that book that hugs you and just warms you up when it's cold. Not that I would know because I live in the tropics, but if you haven't read it, which I doubt that anyone hasn't read this book by now, I mean, it's kind of the basic answer for this prompt. I'm so sorry. I think I love the Harry Potter series, but I don't think it's the best thing that's ever been written, and with everything a certain Miss Lady who won't be named, I think our love for the books have kind of decreased. Let me know about what you think about that. Are you one of those people who kind of take the author and her work and just kind of don't put them together? Like, if you can love the author without loving the book, or you can love the book without loving the author kind of thing. I definitely think that my love for the books have been affected by everything that Miss J.K. Rowling has been doing, but we digress. I think this is the last question. It is. Fall is the perfect time for cozy reading nights. Share your favorite cozy reading accessories. My favorite cozy reading accessories are my dog, candles. This one here. It's lit. I don't know if you can see that. It's lit. My girlfriend. She's not here. And tea. Tea, I think. So, that's the end of this video. I think it was a bit more organized than the last one. Thank you.